And then we briefly spoke about those things which violate the fast. And before that, we spoke about some of the conditions. The main conditions: that a person has to be sane, they have reached the age of puberty, they have to be a Muslim, and if it's a woman, they have to be free from her monthly cycle, and a lochia, the blood that comes after giving birth to a child. And then we spoke about those things that violate the fast. This week, inshallah, in this session, we will cover those things that do not break the fast. Those things that do not invalidate the fast. So, I will read the Arabic text, we'll go straight into the English, inshallah. There are several things that the author has enumerated in this section, and we should take note of these things. Many of these things people ask in the month of Ramadan, and many of these things are those things which occur often. So inshallah, this session is very important, and inshallah may Allah make it beneficial. So the author says, وَلَا شَيْءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ, and then he begins. There is nothing compulsory, incumbent, meaning in terms of making up the fast and offering an expiation. The following list: a person, their fast is not broken, nor do they have to give expiation, Kafarra, as we spoke last week, the 2-month penalty on someone who, number one, forgets. So a person who forgets, they eat, they drink, or they take medicine, and they are in the state of nisyan, forgetfulness. Now there's a difference between this and what we've covered last week was mistake. So if a person by accidentally they eat something, they drink something, or they intake medicine, then that will break the fast. However, there's only a qada. They only make up for that one fast that has been broken. And the definition or the understanding, the conceptualization of accident is that they are conscious. They have intention. They are conscious of what they are doing, meaning they are conscious and aware of their fast. They know they are in the state of fasting. They are conscious of their fast, and in that state, accidentally something goes down their body. This will break the fast. They only have to give qada. Conversely, forgetting is something where a person is totally oblivious. They are unconscious. They are unaware of their fast. So in this circumstance, in the state of forgetfulness or in the state of nisyan, there is nothing. Rather than the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ to the nearest meaning that if one eats forgetfully, then it is simply nourishment which Allah has sent to him. This is nourishment, and this is something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, this is after they have eaten, or after they have taken that drink, or taken the medicine. If whilst eating or drinking they remember that they are fasting, they have to stop immediately. They shouldn't think that in the hadith it said, this is nourishment from Allah, so let me fulfill my nourishment. If they do this and they carry on eating or drinking after remembering, then they will have to give Kafarra and qada. No more nourishment then. 2 months penalty. Okay? So we have to be cautious of this. So that's number one. That does not break the fast. Number two, or upon someone who ejaculated by looking or imagining sexual pleasure, even if he prolongs it, or wet dream. So meaning, like I mentioned last week, this is fiqh jurisprudence. It's not talking about thawab and iqab. It's not a book of targhib and tarheeb where it talks about someone, this sin, this action necessitates this sin, and then this sin, this many years in Jahannam. This is not the job of fiqh. That's to do with tasawwuf and tazkiyah and bab of targhib and tarheeb. We have different books for that. Down here is giving you a juristic ruling that if hypothetically speaking, if someone ejaculated by imagination or by looking at something that is haram, even if they prolonged their glance, which is of course is haram, yes? But if they did this, will this violate the fast? No, it will violate the fast. The sin is in its place. The sin in its place. I have to keep on emphasizing on this because we have, unfortunately, certain ignoramuses in our 21st century who are unmitigated dullards. They're completely oblivious to the nature and the mansha of the Sharia. They don't know what the Sharia is, and they nitpick, cherry pick misquotations, misrepresentations of farrago of sentences from books of fiqh, and they say, look, this is what the deen teaches. Yes, whether they are Orientalists, whether they are Islamophobes, or whether they are those people who are Muslims but they are ignorant, then they attack the fiqh of Imam Abu Hanifa, they attack the fiqh of Imam Malik, they attack the fiqh of Imam Shafi'i, Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in, without knowing what fiqh is. Fiqh is not there to encourage that you start ejaculating by imagining. That's not the purpose of fiqh. Fiqh is there as a pragmatic paradigm, a pragmatic modus operandi, that if you are in this situation, then this will not invalidate your fast. Yes? I have to mention this again and again because when people take this, they might take a clip and say, look, he's encouraging ejaculation. This is the reality. Now we've got shayateen that do this, unfortunately. So I have to keep on disclaimer on top of disclaimer on top of disclaimer. Yes? In case somebody does this. There are people out there, subhanallah. They like sensationalization of titles and clickbait, the best, the worst mas'ala you've heard. Everybody will click on it. Where is this mas'ala? Where is this fiqh? They'll put titles like this. Exposed. Yasir al-Hanafi exposed.
More views for channel.
Yes.
YouTube.
So I have to keep on reiterating this. The book of fiqh is practical. Alhamdulillah, there's big ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's big ni'mah from Allah that we have the fuqaha who have extracted these masail. Without the fuqaha, we will not understand the deen. Those people who say we only follow hadith, tell them to bring the fara'id, wajibat and sunan from hadith. Categorization. What is farad? Obligatory. What is wajib? Necessary. What is sunnah? What is mustahab? What is nafal? Is this in the hadith? There's not a single hadith with this categorization. Who made this categorization? The fuqaha, the jurists. And this is a big blessing and a big ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He created the fuqaha within the ummah who can explain these masail to us very easily. Otherwise, imagine we had to extract this ourselves. Impossible. Yes? So it made it easy. Look, if it's a wajib, then you do this. If it's a farad, then you do this. If you miss out a sunnah, then it's this. Alhamdulillah, we have clear rulings. Whereas you can't find this categorization in hadith. There's not a single hadith which said this is wajib farad. The fara'id that you learn in salah, this many fara'id, this many wajibat. There's not a single hadith that mentions this. It's taken from hadith. It doesn't mean it's not part of the deen. The categorization is taken from hadith. But for that you need linguistics, for that you need knowledge of hadith, knowledge of tafsir and many other sciences. Or a wet dream. If a person is in the state of a wet dream, this will not break the fast. Number 3, the next point. Or applied oil on himself. Applying oil, whether on your beard, your body, your hair, it does not break the fast. Or applied antimony. Antimony, kohal, surma as we say in Urdu, even if he finds its taste at the back of his throat. Right? Even if you taste. So sometimes you can put antimony in your eye, you can apply antimony in your eye and you can feel the taste in your throat. If this happens, your fast is not broken. Likewise, if you put eye drops, If you put eye drops in your eye and you feel the taste of the eye drop, does not break your fast. Likewise, putting ear drops in your ear, this does not break your fast. Unless in very rare circumstances, if there is some operation has taken place and there is a direct passage or a link through the ear into the stomach, that a person will know. But normally speaking, no. Yes. In some books, old books of fiqh, it is mentioned that putting anything into the ear, it breaks the fast. That was based on the research that there was a passage, a path from the ear into the stomach. But contemporary research shows otherwise. So the author is saying, even if he finds its taste at the back of his throat, it does not break the fast. Or had blood drawn through cupping. Yeah. Whether a person should do cupping in the month of Ramadan is a different issue. Fuqaha have discussed it, especially if it weakens the person's body. A person should not do it. But if a person does do cupping in the month of Ramadan, this does not break the fast. Or backbiting. Yes, backbiting is haram. Because the Quran mentions backbiting. أتحب أيحب أحدكم أن يأكل لحم أخيه ميتا فكرهتموه. Does any of you like and wish to eat the dead flesh of their brother? Meaning the way you dislike eating your brother's flesh. Imagine a dead person and even that your brother. How much would a person dislike eating that flesh? Absolutely abhorrent. So in the same way, فَكَرِهْتُمُوهُ, you should dislike backbiting. So the sin is enormous. The sin is huge of backbiting. But if a person does backbite in the month of Ramadan, in terms of fiqh and juristically speaking, this does not break the fast. Or intended to break the fast, but nonetheless did not break it. So they have intention to break the fast, firm convictions to break the fast, but they do not end up breaking the fast. This does not break the fast. Okay. Or smoke, dust, or a reptile life form entered his throat inadvertently, meaning unintentionally. So smoke went into his mouth, dust went in his mouth, or a reptile life, some moving, creeping, crawling creature, ant or something, fly, went into the mouth unintentionally. So this also, when we have fragrance, that does not break the fast. However, perfume or sprays, for example, sprays, and then you have this bukhur that we have, this does not break the fast also if it enters the body unintentionally, inadvertently. However, if there is any fragrance, this is very important. If there's any fragrance which has got perceptual existence, bodily existence, like bukhur, as you can see, it has a bodily, not bodily in the sense, it has a perception, you can see it. Yes, smoke. If a person intentionally inhales that will break the fast. A person intentionally inhales that will break the fast. So the condition down here is unintentionally. Likewise, you have a deodorant spray. The spray, this also has a perceptible existence. You can see the spray, the particles floating. And that if a person applies this onto their body and unintentionally goes down to his throat, they can taste it in the throat, this will not break the fast. If, however, it's done intentionally, then it will break the fast. This is why it's important that we are cautious. We take caution, and in the month of Ramadan, we try to stay away from these things, especially if it can break your fast.
مجمع الفقه مجمع الفقه الإسلامي في أوروبا كانوا يفتوا علماء in Europe. Like the inhaler, it doesn't break the fast.
Yeah. So
and you can see the the spray going inside your body.
Yes. So the
He said that doesn't break the
yeah, so inhaler, according to some ulama, but according to the Hanafi school, it does break the fast. Again, based on the reason that it has got a bodily perception and it goes into the stomach. It goes inside and it does bring somewhat nourishment or strength to the body. So it does break the fast. We will cover this in the section of those people who cannot fast or who struggle to fast. Yes, that is a fatwa of some ulama. According to the Hanafi school, it does break the fast. وَاتَّبِعْ مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا. Or woke up in the morning in a state of major ritual impurity. This is, I was just thinking when the Shaykh is joking, yes, so nobody takes this as a translation of the verse. So a person wakes up in the morning in major impurity. They've had a wet dream, or they've fulfilled their desires at night with their spouse, and they woke up in this state. Even if he continues in that state throughout the day. Now again, hypothetically speaking, this is a sin. A person staying, especially when there's prayers involved and there's salawat and ibadah, worship and other forms of actions that a person needs to do. So if he stays in the state of major impurity, in this janabat, then this will not break the fast. The sin is in its own place, but just juristically speaking. Tamam? Or poured something in his urinary tract. Yes? Now, why a person would do that, Allahu Alam, but if anybody did put water in their private part, this will not break the fast. Okay? Look, again, a lot of these are hypothetical scenarios. And this is the beauty about fiqh. Fuqaha, especially the Maliki and the Hanafi school, they were known as Ashabul Rai. Ashabul Rai. Ashabul Rai means the people of intellect, people of insight, not the misconception that people have that they, na'udhu billah, the Hanafi or the Maliki school, they give precedence to intellect over hadith. No. Ashabul Rai means the people of insight and intellect. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, and likewise other fuqaha, Imam Malik, etc., they would extract all of the possible rulings from a hadith. So a lot of the scenarios would be hypothetical, but they would extract this. Subhanallah. So this is actually a praiseworthy thing. It's not a bad thing. Being from the Ashabul Rai, the people of the right, is a good thing. And what does this mean? This means they had the prowess to do ijtihad. They had the skill to do ijtihad and extract rulings. Not that they would give preference to the intellect over hadith. And those who accuse the Hanafi or the Maliki or any other school, especially the Hanafi school, the Hanafis get this a lot, unfortunately. There's a lot of jealousy directed towards the Hanafi school. Imam, and the dalil to this is because the other A'imma have had to defend Imam Abu Hanifa. The other A'imma, Hafiz ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, Hafiz ibn Qayyim in his I'lam, he's actually got a section dedicated to this. He's a Hanbali scholar. He's got a section dedicated to this, refuting those people who say that Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah gives preference to intellect over hadith. And Hafiz ibn Qayyim goes, never mind giving preference to the intellect over hadith, Imam Abu Hanifa never give preference to intellect over weak hadith. And the example that he gives is the mas'al of qahqah. If a person laughs loudly in salah, according to the Hanafi school, their wudu is broken and their salah is broken. Salah, wudu, both broken. According to the other schools, the wudu is not broken. Only Imam Abu Hanifa has taken this ruling, acting upon the hadith, which is weak. Which is weak. Shaykh al-Islam Abdul Wahhab al-Sha'rani, rahimahullah, no, Abdul Wahhab al-Sha'rani, the Shafi'i. The Shafi'i erudite, inside his, in his book, he's got a full section dedicated to this. And likewise, other A'immah have also defended Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah when it comes to this mas'ala of giving preference to the intellect over hadith. This is a misconception. The Ashab al-Ra'i, the people of Ra'i, meaning people of insight that will extract several rulings from a single narration. Or water entered his ear. If water enters the ear, this also does not break the fast. Or picked his ear with a wooden pick, yes, this does not break the fast. Or swallowed phlegm. Swallowing phlegm or spit, saliva, this also does not break the fast. Now this is regarding vomiting. Or was compelled to vomit and it meaning the vomit inadvertently returned, even if it's a mouthful according to the correct opinion. Or induced himself to vomit less than a mouthful, even if it returned according to the correct opinion in both cases. And what is this? The ruling regarding vomiting, or the scenarios regarding vomiting, are several. I think it's about 14 or something, mentioned by the fuqaha. But we just remember 2. We have to remember 2, and then the rest are easy to remember. There's only 2 scenarios where your fasting will break if you vomit. 2 scenarios. Number 1, uninduced, meaning involuntarily, mouthful. So a person involuntarily, he vomits a mouthful, yes, and then intentionally swallows it. Number 1 scenario. So you vomit, yes, involuntarily. You don't do it intentionally. You vomit an entire mouthful. And what is the definition of a mouthful? That your mouth just opens, you cannot keep your mouth closed. And then a person intentionally swallows that. Yes. Why would he do that? Allahu Alam. But if he did, this will break the fast. Scenario number 1. Scenario number 2, a person voluntarily vomited a mouthful. This will break the fast, regardless if he swallowed it or not. That's it. So 2 scenarios. Number 1, a person involuntarily vomited a mouthful and then he intentionally swallowed the entire mouthful. This is 1 scenario. Scenario number 2, intentionally, he made himself vomit a mouthful. Now whether he swallows that or he doesn't, fast is broken. The fact that he intentionally vomited a mouthful, this itself will break the fast. These are the 2 scenarios that will break the fast. Anything else will not break the fast in regards to vomit. Is that clear?
قضاء one day.
Qadha.
قضاء one day.
Qadha, yes. Because vomiting, some things is not eaten.
What if you get it like halfway through your throat, like the reflex action, but it doesn't, you don't get a mouthful, but it goes back automatically because obviously to the throat level.
Yeah, so it's not in the 2 scenarios, it doesn't break. No.
Okay, it doesn't break.
Only these 2 scenarios break. Anything else doesn't break.
There can be many other 12 other
Yeah.
scenarios.
There's many other scenarios. But these are the only 2. I think it's easy to remember these 2. If it doesn't come under these 2, it doesn't break the fast. Yes? Or ate what was stuck in between his teeth and it was less than the size of a chickpea. Chickpea is quite big, you know. So if there's small amount of food stuck and then he ate this, but it was less than it, this will not break the fast. Or chewed something like the size of a sesame seed. Sesame seed is more smaller than, Google it afterwards, you'll see, Google images, they'll give you a good picture. It's smaller than a chickpea, from outside his mouth until it disintegrated and he found no taste of it. So it's from outside his mouth. If it's inside the mouth, you've got more allowance. You've got a size of a chickpea. If from outside the mouth, it's something from outside the mouth, then it has to be size of a sesame. But the condition is that they've taken this and it's become disintegrated, meaning it's become so small that completely vanishes, disappears. yes, then that does not break the fast. Concluding this section, the author says, rahimahullah, it is necessary for the following to abstain from eating, drinking, or sexual relations for the rest of the day. One whose fast was invalidated, whether due to a valid reason or not. So a person is fasting and the fast is broken, whether the reason is valid or not valid, it is still necessary that they carry on fasting, even though they have to keep the fast again, but maintain the fast. Why? In honor and respect of Ramadan. Honor and respect of Ramadan. My dear friends, the month of Ramadan is a sacred month. It's not just the fasting, the entire month, the entire time of the month of Ramadan. Every second of the month of Ramadan is sacred. It's special. Yeah. So if a person, even if it's not fasting, they should be mindful of other people and also be mindful. SubhanAllah, this is becoming a bit common now in the last few years. Those Muslims that don't fast, they openly drink and eat in front of people. Beghairat, no shame, no indignation. Allahu Akbar. And they look at you and they drink, they say something to you. Ya Allah. Whose harm is this? The person's harm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need our fasting. Allah does not need our worship. We need our worship. We need fasting. Subhanallah, look how merciful Allah is. That Allah that's given you food, that Allah that's given you drink in the first place, He's the one that's given it to you, just telling you not to eat in these times, that's it. It's not it's our food and our drink and we're restraining ourselves. It's given by Allah, and then He tells us the food and drink that I've given you, just don't eat in these times. And if you don't eat in these times, I'm going to give you Jannah in return. A woman menstruating or experiencing lochia who becomes ritually pure after dawn. Yes. So she becomes pure after dawn, meaning, so in this, she did not start her fast because she was not pure. But a purity came after dawn, but even then she should maintain the day's fast in honor of Ramadan. A child who reaches puberty after dawn, so if they become baligh after dawn, they should keep that day's fast. And a disbeliever who embraces Islam after it, meaning dawn. Nonetheless, even if they observe the fast for the rest of such a day, it is still incumbent, meaning necessary upon them to make up the fast later, except for the latter two categories. Except for the latter two categories. A person who reaches the age of puberty after dawn, they should carry on fasting that day. Why? Because in honor of Ramadan. However, there's no qadha. They don't have to keep that fast again. Case number one. And number two, a person who becomes Muslim in Ramadan, that day after dawn, they should fast that day, even though they don't have to keep it after. Why? Because when the fast started, they were not in a state of being legally responsible. They were not mukallaf. Whereas the woman who is in menstruation or lochia, they have to fast. Why? Because even though there was a barrier, there was an obstacle for them to fast, which was the blood, but they were legally responsible. They were still, they had the criteria of fasting. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability and tawfiq, inshallah, to internalize these masail, and inshallah help your family members, help your friends also, inshallah. A lot of people have these questions in Ramadan, and we should inshallah learn these masail, remember them, inshallah. This is basic fiqh that we all need, inshallah. In Ramadan these things do occur, and it's important that we know these things, we remember these things, so our fast, inshallah, is not violated and our fast is kept to the best degree possible, inshallah.
Yes, you said that last portion, you said person, some of the Muslims, they drink